Should probably actually double check them. I was too excited there. Yep. And, oh well. Hopefully it should be fine. I didn't double check that the microphone settings were the same. Oh well. Hello. So, did you guys know they're making an Alex Rider TV series? Because I did have no idea they were making an Alex Rider TV series. Nobody told me personally that was a thing that was happening, and I'm quite upset by that. Hey, you're watching Squishy Vision, where this is my live trailer reaction, where I watch a trailer I've not actually seen at all. This is my first time watching it. You're watching it with me. Well, you might have watched it before, but I haven't watched it before, so you're watching me watch it the first time. So in that sense, you're watching it with me. Look, just bear with me here on the whole solidarity doodah. So Alex Rider, I read these books when I was in school. I was a reasonably big fan of them. I enjoyed the character arcs. I enjoyed the kind of progression into adult natures. I like how it was very realistic and kind of unashamedly blunt about the trauma of putting a kid in essentially war zones would actually kind of ruin your whole psyche. A lot of your adult novels, I'm thinking about Chris Ryan's books here, and etc. Or Famous Five, or any young adult book, any book where kids, plucky young kids go and get involved in adventures and stuff like that. And sometimes it can be very dark adventures. Sometimes it can actually involve deaths and murder, things that are actually quite brutal and dark. And the kids, are fine to take it in their stride. It was clear from the very beginning that Alex Rider was a very unwilling hero, someone who was blackmailed into the adventures he had to go on, and he came back from each one increasingly both physically hurt but also mentally, and it was a mental scarring, which I think is not something which is actually ever touched upon in novels like these. I mean, even Harry Potter, with its kind of increasingly dark themes and brutal realities, was, in my opinion, very, very poor in its depiction of kind of the actual reality of things like PTSD. It's bizarre because, J.K. Rowling, whatever you want to say about J.K. Rowling, she's a controversial figure, I know, at this point, for a variety of reasons. She's probably controversial in every kind of aspect you can think of. But at the very least, she comes from a background where there's no doubt about it. She understands mental illness and the darkness that it can bring. But she never really, for me, there was a lot of problematic nature of mental health in Harry Potter, in that, these kids will go through war, and we never really have any kind of real exploration of mental health, and also kind of, actually explicitly in with any kind of talk about going forward from that point onwards. You can see, because we read the books from Alex's point of view, so we hear his opinions and things like that. We can see clearly how it's affecting him book and book out. It gets progressively darker. You start off, the first Stormbreaker is very traditional in that it's he comes out of it seemingly okay, and then you get to like the middle of the books, and he is he's clearly depressed. He clearly has PTSD. He's isolating himself. He really, really wants to reject the whole call to adventure. There's a point. Okay, massive spoilers. I don't think I said that for Alex Rider series. If you haven't read the Alex Rider series, then you should definitely read it blind. There's a whole bunch of plot twists. So I'm going to spoil for you now. Please do not watch this if you haven't read the books. But about middle area, I think it's in Scorpio actually. He gets shot, and we hear his thoughts as he is dying in the street, and he's actually glad, because he thinks all the trouble is going to be over. He's going to see his parents again. It's a very happy memory for him. Plot twist is in the book. He doesn't actually die. He miraculously, by like an inch, survives having his heart shot out, and he recovers. It's not a complete reset. In the next book, kind of has to deal with the fact that he's in hospital for like the first couple of chapters, and then the next story ahead. I can't remember off the top of my head now if him being shot was meant to be. I don't think it was meant to be a. I think it was definitely always meant to be a cliffhanger because it would be a very dark ending otherwise. Not that the book series doesn't. Well, we'll talk about endings in a bit actually. And then there's a part I think in what was at the time believed to be the final Alex Rider book, Scorpio Uprising, I think it's called. I should probably bring up the book titles because, as I said, I haven't read it in like 5 years, or just under. So I should probably actually, have something up here that I can refer to in lieu of actually any preparation or notes, because the whole point of this is I am very bad at preparing my notes. Scorpio Rising was what was at the time assumed to be the final book in the series. And in there, like throughout the book, he's always been threatened with torture, but not actually ever physically tortured, at least not explicitly. Now, the threat of torture is still torture. The threat of being hurt or dying is psychologically damaging, which is what torture is meant to do more than physically damaging. It's meant to break your psyche. So it's still dark that he was almost tortured. And you also notice, and I love this in the books, because he doesn't want to be a spy. He defends his country. There's actually a part of the passage where he says he'll defend his country if he went to war, but and in that sense he considers himself a patriot, but he wouldn't go out and sacrifice and do cloak and dagger stuff and bleed red on the flag for it, kind of stuff. So whenever he's captured and threatened with torture, he spills the beans straight away. He has absolutely no loyalty to the people who are blackmailing him to be spies for the MI6 or whatever it is. He and I think that's very realistic, because when you put, I can't remember how old he is in the books now, but when you put that kind of kid in a situation, of course he's going to spill the beans. He's a kid. He isn't. You're blackmailing. But yeah, in Scorpio Rising, he's actually tortured. It's waterboarding, so it's. I mean, I've never been waterboarded, and I don't want to kind of trivialize people who have been, because torture is always terrible, and you should not torture people. But in terms of actually, the physical, the reason why waterboarding is kind of used a lot is because when it relies on bodily harm so much as psychological torture, which again I'll touch upon is still valid, extreme, and horrible torture. But I guess to an audience isn't as graphic, I guess is what I'm looking for here in terms of words. But like I said, that's still torture. So that's how dark it gets in the final book. And then, in the final book, massive spoilers here I said final book. In Scorpio Rising, massive spoilers here. He gets, Jack, who's been like the ongoing character for the series, who's always been representative of his home, of the only family he has left after he's orphaned and after his uncle dies. Someone who's always been separate to this whole spy world, but someone he can always go back to, gets brutally, suddenly, without warning, killed in the books. It is a very dark part of the books, and there's a sort of switch in Alex's head where it's one of the most, I think, powerful and unexpected portrayals of PTSD in a novel I've read. He completely shuts down emotionally. He manages to escape. Well, no, he gives up first, and then he manages to escape. Every character when he meets back up with his allies, they instantly can tell that's when he's changed him. He's lost. He's already down. He's already distant. He's already isolated. But there's the difference between being isolated and then just being an empty case for your existence, and that's what essentially happens to Alex after Jack gets murdered. So yeah, and then he actually goes on to take. I mean, it's in self-defense, but he actually goes on to take his first life in that book. It's very dark, and then that finishes. And at the end of that book, it seems to wrap up. It's a very bittersweet ending. He's adopted by the family of his friend and love interest. He goes to live with him in America. The head of the secret spy organization, which has been blackmailing him to be part of them for all these years, resigns, and the more sympathetic second in command takes over. The implication that he'd never be called upon again. So, but we're left with a very obvious ending that he's free of his life, but he has been traumatized, and it's very much a Frodo kind of ending. Frodo, wins the day, but he was always traumatized by the end of taking the ring to Mount Doom. that kind of thing. But it was very, the plot lines all tied up. So it seemed like an ending. I do remember that time it was kind of marketed as the ending book. Then we had kind of a spin-off book called Russian Roulette, which explored the backstory of one of the side characters in the film. What's his name now? Yasin Gregorovich, who's always been a recurring character throughout the series. And for me, I loved all the books. They all, so they had a nice progression of darkness and adult themes and mental trauma. And then Russian Roulette kind of, so I didn't focus on Alex at all. I really don't really think he's but he's in it briefly right at the end. It mainly focuses on Gregorovich. Now, Gregorovich, is like a recurring character throughout the series and isn't really in it as much as you kind of remember him to be, but it's quite obvious in parts why the way he's depicted has a certain feel to it. It becomes more potent if you can believe that he is a genuine assassin who has no remorse about killing for life and things. For that, he's very much down to, he's very cold and he does interesting backstory to him which filters through the main series, but we don't really see much details. This kind of goes, Russian Roulette goes very much deep into his backstory, more in depth than I would have really liked. I think it's kind of like, I don't really want a Black Widow. I never want a Black Widow film exploring her pre-Avengers past, because I felt her character was always more interesting when her past was in a subtext. We have a Black Widow film coming up, and I believe it's not a prequel, it's a mid-quel, in which case fine. But I was always against it, not because I get people were wanting it because she was the only female main character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if we're gonna have a female-led film, of course it was gonna have to be her. It's not the case anymore. But like I said, they're not going for a prequel. The same way with Gregorovich, we didn't really see much of his past, and there were parts, especially the ending of the book, which kind of for me defeats a lot of the themes in the previous book. So I didn't like Russian Roulette. And apparently then there's another book called Never Say Die, which was released 2 years ago in June. So after Scorpio Rising, I never knew there was another Alex Rider book. That's completely news to me. I thought Russian Roulette was the last one. I thought that I'd read all the books. So now there's another book I need to read. I love reading books, but you can't really. You can briefly see it in the corner. I have tons of books I have not read. I buy books and then don't read them. So I guess trip to the library. I think I don't leave a series in red, do I? I need to read all the Dark Materials though, because it's on BBC now. I haven't actually. And I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna watch it with my friend, and they want to watch it now, and I'm like, I haven't read the books, and I kind of need to read the books first, and that's who I am. So I didn't even know they were making another Alex Rider book, or made. I had no idea they were adapting a TV series until I logged onto YouTube this morning, and there's a trailer out for Alex Rider TV series. I've been talking 15 minutes now, and I've not actually played the trailer I promised to review. So for those of you who are watching, sorry, let's watch this trailer together.
What do you want? You, as an agent.
The world we inhabit is murky.
It was a head-on collision.
I don't understand.
Your uncle was over the speed limit.
Things are never as clear as we would wish.
No hospital in London has any record of him being brought in.
Maybe they spelt his name wrong. They're always doing that.
Or maybe it didn't happen. I want to find out who killed my uncle.
There's something we'd like you to do for us. No one outside this department needs to know about this operation.
Hello, Alex. Your uncle worked for the British government. He was a spy. And I think you are too.
You take a look around, you don't take any risks, and you report back.
Everyone, this is Alex.
Alex is bright and determined. He questions everything, but he can be impulsive and irresponsible.
I know Krav Maga. I know shooting people in the head.
The little fish survives by being smarter and faster and more daring. Like he's been training for this his whole life.
Actions have consequences, Alex.
You think I can't see right through you? You think I can't tell when someone is pretending to be something they're obviously not?
What if you never find out what really happened?
I do this one thing and it's over. They leave us alone.
These people aren't your friends, okay? Me and Jack, we're your friends.
I did warn you.
Shoot me.
Change is never easy. Change hurts, but it can be for the better.
At the end of this, you will be transformed.
Annoyingly, I can't actually have to mute my mic while I'm speaking because I haven't. Anyway, yeah, I didn't have my microphone right, so I couldn't talk over the playing the trailer. I need to fix that. But anyway, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm actually kind of excited about this. I don't know if this means I have to now reread all the Alex Rider books because I think I've read them from probably between 2012 and 2015. I would have read most of them up to Russian Roulette between 2011 and 2014, let's say, over that 3-year period. So I haven't read any in 5 years. My memories, I want to say it's vague, but actually I realized I quoted from the book earlier and I haven't read 5 years. I think it's kind of impressive. But take a series of unfortunate events. The film version very much compressed a lot of it, and often, and you know, by nature of that, cut a lot of the character kind of massive character arcs from it. I mean, one of the big appeals of a series of unfortunate events was the multiple mysteries and story threads that then don't get resolved. Yeah, we like that you don't. I'm not offensive about that. I watched the film Stormbreaker probably around 2013 time. So this was the film adaptation of the first book, was meant to lead into a series, didn't do. It was one of those many young adult films that kind of happened in the early mid 2000s, and then didn't get enough returns to kind of go on, even though it had a relatively decent casting. We had Stormbreaker was released in 2006. Screenplay was actually by Anthony Horowitz, and it had an all-star cast that included Bill Nighy, Mickey Rourke, Stephen Fry, and Ewan McGregor. And also Alex Pettyfer as Alex Rider, who I think was kind of the up and coming teenage heartthrob, and then kind of disappeared fairly quickly on after this and one or two other movies. It was an entertaining film. It's very much a Fast and the 5 young adult film. It has very much Spy Kids kind of feelings about the endearing nature of Spy Kids cheesiness. But it did kind of butcher a lot of character arcs because it kind of had to stand alone. So a lot of the things are very simplified or changed, and it wasn't really the same as the book. And less of it made sense. A lot of character interpretations were changed in a way which kind of made them a bit more humorous but less dark. And as I mentioned, the darkness of Alex Rider is kind of the big appeal for me. What is my cat doing? River. Whatever. This looks okay. So yeah, I mentioned a series of unfortunate events. So the Netflix series was more truer to books I felt in at least theme. I have a weird relationship because I read the books while I was watching the TV series after I saw the film. I can see why the film was kind of off kilter. The books are weird because I watched the first TV series and then read the books, and I prefer the TV series over the books, and then I watched the second season after I read the second set of books, and prefer the books over the season, and God knows, I think I prefer the third set of books over the last TV episodes. So I actually think I do prefer the books to the TV series, but it did seem I prefer the first season over the first set of books, which is weird. But the problem is, I think TV series. I'm liking this trend of book series being adapted into TV series, and it lets you flesh out a lot of arcs more, because arcs TV series lend themselves better to arcs. I think we've got Game of Thrones to thank for this. So if this hits off and we get an adaptation of all the books, we're able to now explore a lot of the arcs and darkness of the books and the TV series much more than the film was ever able to, which was very much very lighthearted. The film, as I said, was actually written by Anthony Horowitz. I don't know who's writing the TV series. I'll check what IMDb says. Anthony Horowitz does write an episode, so I guess it means he has, much like Daniel Hadler had a play in the series of Unfortunate Events. Horowitz is going to have a say in this. This was good because he should know his source material, but I guess the film adaptation shows us not always the case. You catch that fly river. All the flies really. There's like 5 in here. Nope, you can leave instead. That's fine. So yeah. And already it definitely looks darker just in tone from the cinematography, whilst the Stormbreaker was much lighter and, as I said, 2005's action film, bright, loud colours. So this is more modern action film, which is very much subdued, filmic colours. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I could go through this and kind of try and identify where everything is from. Wikipedia, I think, says much of the first series is going to be, or the first bunch of episodes will be based off the first book. Okay, Andy Harris isn't actually writing. IMDb just credits him as a writer because he wrote the book, so never mind. I don't know what the split's going to be like. I think it's going to be a series per book or an episode per book. I hope it's an episode per book.
Okay, I found this on the web for Is the Book a Book? Check it out.
Thank you, Siri. I wasn't actually asking for your opinion, but cheers, pal. Nothing more distracting when you're live streaming than Siri decides to interrupt you with misinterpreting what you just said. But yeah, I hope it's not a book per episode, and I hope it's at least a couple episodes per book. If it's a 45, if we're going for the traditional 45-minute episode, then really only 2 episodes per book should be needed. You shouldn't really need to expand more than that. They are putting some extra materials in it, hopefully authorized by Anthony Horowitz. Horowitz. But yeah, I hope it's more darker, but because it goes into really dark areas. So yeah, I could go through this and try and identify which book each of these are from. But it's been 5 years, and I like that he's refreshing my memory. So that kid, the blonde guy is Alex Rider. The guy next to him is Alex Rider's best friend, who I do remember from the books as being a passing character. God knows I can't actually remember what the guy's called. I cannot remember if he was in the film. if he was in the film version as well. So I can't. Was he? Probably not. But I mean, I guess if I'm glad that he's included, regardless of whether or not he was included in the film version. So here we see that over there is Jack, who's Alex's American, I guess, housekeeper in the books. So glad that she's. Oh yeah, there was a weird part in the film where the assassin and the American housekeeper had a fight, and somehow the American housekeeper won against this assassin. That was weird. But again, 2005 action films, am I right? And then we have this guy who's playing Ian Ryder, who Ewan McGregor played in. I did not know Robbie Coltrane was in the film version. What? Yikes! How dumb was I whenever I watched this film? Oh, and the Weinstein Company distributed it and produced it. One of those films. Yeah, so this is obviously from the first part because he's not dead yet. There's this. Sorry. Yeah, and then they go to a house party. I don't know why all house parties in films have to have this weird blue-red tone to it. Most times you go to house parties, it's badly lit. It's either fully lit or badly lit. You don't get lighting like this. Don't know who she is. Because we don't see her again for the rest of the trailer, and another girl kind of takes her place. Because my initial thought was this could be Sabrina Pleasure, who's Alex's love interest, but then we don't see the rest of Pam. So maybe it's just there to show him that he's a teenager and has interest in girls. Because apparently that needs to be established and not assumed. Then we have the part here where they talk about him being killed. This would be Mrs. Jones, who's the second head of MI6. Not sure what's happening here. I don't know what I'm. So that's Ian. What's his face? Ian Ryder. Don't know who that is. He's just got shot. Too dark for me to really tell who's who in this. Because obviously all three guys in this look exactly the same. I'm gonna assume this probably isn't Ian Ryder's death. It's a trailer misdirect. Because at least both the film and the books agree that he was probably killed in his car whilst escaping. Because there's bullet holes on his car. But like I guess it's never actually explicit in the books that he actually died in his car, so it could be his death scene. So that's Alan Blunt, who Bill Nighy plays in the film. Too comically for my taste, but yeah. Not sure what this is. This one threw me because I don't remember there being a part where he's kidnapped. Well, maybe there was actually. I don't remember there being a part in the first book where he's kidnapped into a van. There's a part in another book where he's not especially in the streets, but again, maybe there's a part he is kidnapped a couple of times. Maybe it's from those other books, but so far everything is quite clearly from the first one. But maybe it's again something else from another book. I mean, is he definitely wearing his school crest on there, because yeah, well that looks like his school crest. So presumably this is something else then. Don't know really what this is from, but it's glad to see. I'm good to see. I was surprised and happy to see Howard Charles, who you should know from Musketeers, and is a fantastic actor. I love him, so glad he's in here. Not entirely sure. I mean, he's talking about his death, so it has been the first book. I'm trying to remember when there was an occasion when he's put in an interrogation chamber with somebody else. But no, I'm feeling to. This is for me as well. I don't know, maybe that's a test. And I was added into the series. I hope they don't deviate too much, because a lot of, but whatever. This is obviously, I think this is actually from the second book. So this is from I think this is from Point Blank, where he goes to a French resort or something in the Alps. I mean, the snow kind of ties into that, and has to pretend to be someone else. Blah blah blah. It was early days where it was kind of very, what's the word, routine about what happened. He infiltrates a school as a school kid kind of jazz. And this is one where they make all the clones of everyone. Don't know who that is, or who he's really meant to be playing. That he's, I think that's from the second book as well. When he spends some time with the family who's pretending that he's their son so he can infiltrate the other thing, and the other rich kids start to try and murder him essentially, which is weird, but weird flex. Again, it's hard to really tell what a lot of these are from. I mean, this is clearly from this is from Point Blank, I assume. Don't know who she is. She has a weird accent.
What really happened?
I do this.
But she's in it more than the other girl is, which makes me want to think that she's Sabina Pleasure. Now, one of the annoying things is Sabina Pleasure is meant to be American and also isn't introduced into the books until the one where he starts off by being a ball boy at Wimbledon. Whilst the films, because they start with Stormbreaker where she's not in, retcon her to be a fellow British student who's already kind of in a relationship with Alex whilst he's at school, rather than it being a thing later on. I mean, I prefer her to be introduced later on, because I don't think we need to conform to the idea that the love interest is introduced straight away rather than later on. But she's not American. I don't know how important that is in the. Was she American in the books? Pretty sure she was American in the books. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyhow, she doesn't seem to be in the school. And yeah, she could be a pleasure. She doesn't seem to really match anything that would be recognisable as being a pleasure, so hard to really tell. And she seems to be more involved in it than she really was in the books. This part's obviously from the first one. This is when they all Just kind of break into Point Blank and rescue the kids. Oh, she's there. So what, is she one of the kids from the second one? Oh, maybe it was the let me quickly read a bit of the synopsis. Well, the kid he befriended in the books was called James. I don't think this is a James. Don't know who that is. That's obviously set. Oh no, I was going to say Sale, but actually this looks like it's from the Point Blank, in which case it's Dr. Grief. Don't really know what that's from. Yeah, that's from Point Blank. That's from Point Blank. Don't know what that's from. That'll be from Point Blank. I mean, yeah, I'm excited. When's it coming out? There's a question. Oh, coming soon. Thank you. What channel is it on? I think it's ITV. Yeah, so I mean, I guess my take is outside. It looks dramatically close to the books. I think I realized I spent more time actually talking about the books in this stream than actually the trailer. It's a very fast-paced trailer that kind of, as a teaser trailer, covers kind of the first two books from what I can tell. So, actually, it covers most of the action sequences we see seem to be from Point Blank, but is it Point Blank? Yeah, Point Blank. Whilst a lot of the home stuff seems to be from Stormbreaker, which is very interesting. To be honest, but hopefully we actually get both, because it'd be kind of, I think the fans would be outraged if we don't. But yeah, what do you think of a new trailer? Let me know. I am probably gonna game or something. I need to fix my mic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see if my cat catches that fly. Oh, Lily River. Yeah, the mini claw. I saw you. Goodbye.